everybody, and welcome to our NCO webinar. My name is Kath, and I'm the Artistic and Education Director of NCO, and I'm joined by two amazing guests today, Simmy Singh and Naomi Wilkinson, who are both musicians, presenters, and environmentally inclined, shall we say, really interested in what's happening to our environment and our climate. Now, the way we're going to work this is we're going to have a chat and I'm going to introduce them. They're going to talk a little bit about themselves and their work. Then if you want to ask them any questions, you just have to put your questions in the Q&A and I will have a check up on that and see what questions you've got for them, and I will then ask them. And there's various polls and fun things that will be popping up so you can vote and find out some secrets about our guests that you couldn't find anywhere else. So without further ado, I'm going to screen share and we're going to start to introduce, hold on a sec, introduce our panelists. So why don't you just tell me where are you at the moment, Simmy?
I'm in Wales, South Wales. I'm looking at the Brecon Beacons right now. So it's very nice.
Amazing. And where are you, Naomi?
I'm sort of northwest, just outside London, just outside the M25.
Great. So here we go. Here is our screen share, and we're going to kick things off by introducing you to the amazing Naomi Wilkinson. Tell us, Naomi, about you and your work.
Hello, everyone. I hope you've all had a lovely day. It's nice to see you. I have been working in children's television for a very large chunk of my career. 25 years, I think it is. I started out on a digital channel, which I did for a year, and that was before anyone had digital telly. So it was a great place to make lots of mistakes and nobody saw as I learned how to do presenting. And then I joined Channel 5. This was probably before any of you were born. And I worked on Milkshake on Channel 5, which is still going strong. You can see me there with Elmo on my shoulders. And that was live every morning, and we read birthday cards and wore all sorts of costumes, lots of singing and dancing involved in that. I also made a couple of art programs for ITV during that time. Bottom right, you might recognise the lovely Stephen Mulhern. That's when we were a lot younger, doing a lovely art show called Fingertips. And then from 2010, I joined CBBC. And you may remember some of these programs as you've been growing up. I made a lot of wildlife programs with the Natural History Unit. There's lovely Steve Backshall there from Deadly 60, and a program called Wild. And then my own series called Naomi's Nightmares of Nature, where I was sort of sent around the globe, seeking out the nasty nightmares of the natural world.
Wow, amazing amount of stuff. What's this?
This was when I was invited to present one of the 10 pieces proms at the Royal Albert Hall. So I've presented three times at the proms now, but this was The Firebird, which is one of my absolutely most favourite pieces of music, and it's one of the 10 pieces collection. And this was a puppet of the Firebird that flew into the Royal Albert Hall right at the end of the whole prom, and I had to pass this golden feather, and it took it in its beak, and then it flew around the Albert Hall and flew out over everyone's heads. And that was like a really, really special moment for me, being that it is one of my most favourite pieces of music, and the audience were really excited to be there. So I've been very lucky to host lots of music concerts as well as part of my presenting. And then this is the other side. So obviously I said I've done the wildlife programs, so I've been sent all over the place and met all sorts of creatures, some very cute and some not quite so cute.
What is that frog or chameleon or whatever that is? The white one.
A bearded dragon. A lot of people have those as pets. Really lovely, actually. I like them a lot. So been fortunate to meet all sorts of creatures and to take on a lot of activities as well. Quite adventurous activities.
What a fantastic job you have.
I know, I'm well jealous.
I'm very fortunate.
And Simmy, now we're going to see a little bit of video now of Naomi presenting on BBC 10 Pieces. For any of you who don't know it, there's a great resource, classical music resource called BBC 10 Pieces, which I think now is actually 40 pieces, not 10 pieces, but lots of different pieces that you can just go on the website and dip in and learn more. And so here's a bit of Naomi introducing Earth, which is in one of our concerts coming up this year.
Hi, I'm Hans Zimmer, and I'm thrilled that the BBC asked me to be part of 10 Pieces Trailblazers.
Hans Zimmer is one of the most famous composers in the world, creating music for films like The Lion King and Madagascar, as well as TV programmes like Blue Planet 2. Hans grew up playing rock and roll guitar and experimenting on electronic synthesizers. His film music combines the sound of traditional instruments with electronic and synthesized samples, allowing an orchestra to take us on new and bigger musical journeys.
So, amazing work. Thank you, Naomi. So, Simmy, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm just taking all that in as well. I feel like I've got so many questions for you now, Naomi. Yeah, amazing. So tell me about, okay, so I started off as a violinist, so I am a violinist first and foremost, but I now compose quite a lot. And I kind of a year ago, I think I decided to call myself an earth activist. So kind of using most of my projects to kind of bring light to connect people back to the earth and the wonder of the natural world that we are part of. And so the pictures that we've got up here are from, I was very lucky in this past year to get something from the Welsh Arts Council, a grant, and 8 artists, we were all the Future Wales Fellows. So I felt very excited because I was on a fellowship, which felt very Lord of the Ringsy, especially in a place like Wales. And we were really lucky to be given kind of a grant to all explore how art helps connection to nature. So these are some pictures from that journey, really. I thought it felt very apt to share them with you. And part of my research for this was to explore how you can bring kind of reverence for the natural world, how you can use music and a concert space to do that. But what came very quickly was that the best way to do it was just to play out in nature. So there's a lot of pictures of me doing that, and I really love to do it. It's how I love to write music and love to go and get inspired. And these are some workshops that I did as the lead up to some Vivaldi Four Seasons concerts I did. So you can see this mandala. This represents all the 4 seasons that I explored with people in a workshop, and I got them to go out and think about what the seasons mean to them. And we sang songs and played games, and it was all in the run up to the Vivaldi Four Seasons that I reimagined. And that's me up in the hills writing some music with the cows who kept coming and were being very curious to come and see what I was doing. And then, yeah, some nice little moments of ceremony out in the fields and where I would play music when we took people out on this pilgrimage. And there's the pilgrimage. I love this photo because it shows how many people there are. And that's one of my favourite places. It's in the Brecon Beacons, and it's called Llyn y Fan Bach. And it's got an amazing story of the Lady of the Lake. So we told the story up by the lake, and I accompanied Angharad here at the beginning, at the front, who's an amazing storyteller. And we told the story, and I accompanied her with music. And it was pretty epic to do it by the lake. And that was us singing some songs. And then we ended up by the fire. One of my favourite things to do is to sit around a fire and sing some songs with people. And you can see in the back, if you know it, you'd know, but that's Llyn y Fan in the back in the night with the fire as well. So yeah, it was a wonderful day. And we were celebrating Llamas, which is the kind of harvest festival that people used to celebrate here. And so we had a big feast after a big walk and lots of music and merriment.
Amazing. And so I've got a little bit of video now of you translating some of that into the 4 seasons. So let's have a little listen. Well, it feels terrible to stop it.
And
Carry on with our conversations. Great. So there we have two amazing people, amazing guests. How fascinating is that? So, Naomi, tell me so you're a musician as well in your life-ish.
yes, not professional, not like Simmy. I just absolutely love music. I grew up in a very musical household. I played the French horn at school. I was in every single choir and orchestra and music group that I could possibly join. I loved music, and I've carried on playing the piano. I played the piano at school, and I carried on playing the piano all through my life, and I have gone back to studying. So I took my grade 7 last year, and I'm working on my grade 8, which I'm hoping to take this year. So I'm absolutely loving going back into properly studying it and trying to really get better.
Is that how you got into presenting BBC 10 Pieces, or how did that come about?
It was a bit by mistake, really. I was presenting other programmes, and then I'd seen 10 Pieces 1, I'd seen the collection come out, and then I met the producer of it, the series producer, and I was like, just to let you know, I absolutely love music. I did A-level, and I just have a real passion, and especially for classical music. So I was like, if you're making any more and you need someone who's passionate about classical music, I would love to be in your thoughts. And I got invited, and then from then I just got invited to be in each series. So
Amazing.
that one conversation led to me being involved for a long time, which I've been very thankful for.
Oh, look, we've got a poll now. A secret poll to find out what Naomi's favourite ice cream flavour is. So please vote. I can see that your votes are piling in. There's lots of choices. There's bubblegum, coconut, banana, salted caramel, or raspberry ripple. So I don't know. What do you think the answer? Well, no, I shouldn't ask you until everyone's voted. I was going to ask you, Simmy, if you had an idea, but I don't want to bias anybody's decision making. Preempt.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think I'm also trying to think, what would my choice be?
Okay, I think pretty much everyone has voted, and well, since the definite winner here and a definite loser, which is quite interesting. So I'll end the poll, and here are everyone's voted. 100% people voted. I'll end the poll and share the results. And people think, drum roll, it is raspberry ripple.
Oh,
What do
interesting.
you think?
So I'll tell you the answer. No one thought bubblegum, correct.
Yeah, good.
It's actually, do I tell you?
Yeah.
Coconut.
Coconut.
14% of you.
Yeah, exactly.
I do love a coconut. Yeah.
Mm.
What would you have chosen of those, Simmy, to be your favourite?
I was heading towards raspberry ripple as well. The classic, you know. But I do love coconut, and I think that was a very good choice.
It makes me feel like I'm on holiday. That's what I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Oh gosh, another poll. Quickly to find out something about you, Simmy. Okay, Simmy's favourite childhood film was Pocahontas, The Little Mermaid, 101 Dalmatians, The Jungle Book, or Lion King. Okay, so there's a bit of a theme here again. Oh, it's neck and neck. Hard to make a choice here, I think. Wow, everybody's voting quickly. Excellent. Last couple to come in. Well done, well done, well done. Last one.
Very curious.
Excellent, very curious. There is a winner, and the winner is The Little Mermaid.
A very good film.
But not
my favourite.
Not the right answer.
No, exactly. I mean, to be honest, I love most of those films on there. I find it very hard to choose favourites anyway, but mine was actually Pocahontas. I really wanted to be her. I thought she was just the coolest.
Exactly.
And also Colours of the Wind is like the best song ever.
Great. Right. Enough silliness. Let's move on to some questions about, for you, Simmy, about music and environmentalism. Why those two things so important to you, and is there a connection?
Yeah, I think there's a connection. I mean, for me, since I started writing my own music, that was a real turning point, because I realised I really needed to go and be in nature when I was doing that. And it's how I find my inspiration most, is when I'm connecting deeply with my surroundings, or walking up mountains and going to the sea, and having that peace and space, you know. So that really has been a start of it. But I grew up in Wales, in a very beautiful part of Wales, so I've always felt very connected to nature. And I think just, I think lockdown was a big thing, but kind of always wanting to do something for music. And it's just happened very naturally. I just care a lot about the natural world and about how we're treating it, and think music can do a lot to inspire. And it's just, yeah, it just has become at the forefront of everything I do now, kind of wanting to use what we have been given to be part of the solution, and not the problem, and use the power of music, because it can really unite people. It can make people feel things. It can say things beyond words. And I think, yeah, it's using that tool for good.
What about you, Naomi? Do you think music has a role to play in our environment?
Oh, I agree completely with you, Simmy. Like the emotion I feel with music, I wish I wasn't quite so emotional, because I do get moved to tears so frequently by music. I just think it has this additional power. So, for example, when you think of all the natural history programs that you might watch, all the wildlife programs, the music that's added to some of those sequences is just what makes it so incredibly gripping or exciting or upsetting or moving. It just brings the emotion, and I think that's the power it has. In one way, that's as a soundtrack, but also to produce music, to come up with your own words, your own music, and share that with people. And you can tell messages or important things that are really important to you. You can share them in a completely different way that hits people listening in a whole new way, and just cuts through and sticks. So you might find yourself remembering something. The amount of little facts I have remembered and retained because they were lyrics of songs throughout my childhood. I think some of those really important messages will stay because music is that powerful. And also, it gives us this voice. So, for example, I do work with Surfers Against Sewage. We all know about the kind of sewage problem that's happening at the moment, all the discharges. It's disgusting, and we're all wanting change. And as part of the pupil power assembly that Surfers Against Sewage do, which I host, it was all about water last year. And we asked for the pupils who are watching during their live assembly to send in what they thought the water might be saying to us. What was the water's voice? And this brilliant folk singer-songwriter, Martha Tilston, was with us. And within an hour and a half, she took lyrics that were coming in from the classrooms, put them together, and made this amazing song called We Are the Voice of the Water. Now we're getting primary school children all over the place to record themselves in their schools singing. It's all going to be compiled. So we're going to make this really powerful piece of music that they wrote. They had a hand in producing. And then we'll be able to spread that and hopefully, share this message about how we've got to protect our oceans and our precious blue spaces.
Amazing. So imagine if you were like a 12-year-old child and you were going to make a speech about the environment, but you're actually a musician. What can music give to it that a speech wouldn't do as well? What do you think, Simmy? What does music bring to a message?
I think it says so much more than words. As Naomi said, it's feeling, right? And it's universal as well. Like, in speech we have like so many languages, so many ways to decipher things, but with music it just speaks right to the heart as well. It's not as much mind, it's all in the heart, which is so important. And what I love about what Naomi just said is that also music is the way for us to speak for the earth. It is a way to interpret and channel. And I love that, that's become the voice of the water, and everything needs the voice. The wind, the mountains, the bees, all of them need their voices, and it's like such a innate way to connect to them. We've got bird song everywhere. I always feel like the wind's got its own voice, and the sea, it breathes in the way that the waves are coming in and out. So it's connecting to that deeper essence of stuff.
Amazing. So we've got a question now, which is, what are your favorite pieces of music? If you had to pick a single piece of music, or maybe just a single composer or something, what would you pick, Naomi? Could you pick one?
Obviously, Stravinsky's Firebird is up there as a top favourite, but one that really sticks out that has been really like important in my life. It was one I got introduced to when I was doing GCSE music a very long time ago, and we were talking about modern composers. So it was a composer that would have written this probably in the 1980s, which at the time was quite recent, and called Steve Reich, and he did a piece called The Four Sections, and it's the fourth part of it, and it's a kind of minimalistic piece of music all on marimbas and vibraphones, and it's got this really resonant sound, and it just repeats over and over again but slightly changes each time, and it just gradually builds and builds, and it's quite fast, and it's just a piece of music that really made me interested in kind of looking at how a piece is constructed, as well as really enjoying the sound of it. So I think if you haven't listened to it, Steve Reich, The Four Sections, fourth.
Fantastic.
Let
What
me know.
about you, Simmy? Can you possibly pick out a piece?
I mean, gosh, I don't know if I could, but actually I had to study the Firebird for GCSE, so got really into it, and I do think it's such an amazing journey, and that last movement that just gets so epic and so kind of triumphant, and it just gives you goosebumps every time you hear it. And actually, you know, from playing the Four Seasons, like realizing how timeless the Four Seasons is, and how, you know, because when we did it, we decided to make it relevant to the seasons that are here today, but it showed how it can be translated through time and interpreted in so many different ways. And it's just like, it's, you know, summer, what an epic movement. I don't get goosebumps every time I listen to that, you know. It's
I had to study that for my GCSE.
yeah. What, the Four Seasons or Firebird?
Yeah, no, the Four Seasons.
No way. So we should swap notes. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Look, another poll. Naomi once got knocked off her feet in a live broadcast, live TV show. Did she get knocked over by a horse-drawn cart, a scooter, a toboggan, or a tandem? What do we think? What took her out? Did you get injured, by the way? Were you okay?
I was all right, but I think the adrenaline of the occasion sort of helped. You were on live TV and you just got to keep going. It was a bit like, whoa.
It was on. Oh, it was live. Gosh, so you literally. Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
You literally
jump back up and keep going.
Wow. Oh my God.
As if no one noticed it.
Oh well, I think pretty much everyone's voted. And to be honest, there isn't a clear winner on this one. Let me share it. It's kind of 30-30-30 for a horse,
Oh wow.
a scooter, and a toboggan. But a tandem didn't make the cut. But what? So can you tell us what the answer and what happened, Naomi?
It was a toboggan. I think it was Live and Deadly, and we were at a snow dome, and I think it was either Steve on Live and Deadly or Tim on Wild that came hurtling down from the top on a toboggan, and just I was presenting and they sort of ended up going into the back of my feet, and the toboggan went underneath me and I went over and landed on my back behind.
So it was your co-presenter that took you out.
Yeah.
Pretty poor form, I'd say.
So we were all right.
Tell us a little bit, Naomi, about presenting and how you go about introducing a piece of music, because a lot of our children at NCO will be about to introduce pieces in concerts. So could you give us any kind of top tips on things that are important when you're introducing a piece?
Top tips, I always try and take really special care to find out pronunciations, because sometimes composers' names or piece titles can be quite complicated, quite complex, might have other languages included, so I always spend quite a lot of time just trying to make sure I've had the pronunciation broken down for me, and I sometimes will write that down phonetically so I know I'm going to get that right. I like to prepare a lot. I am a preparer. I practice a lot. I rehearse a lot. That I find, especially in a sort of concert situation when musicians are expecting a certain cue, if you get the words that they are expecting as the cue, the concert will flow seamlessly rather than having these weird eggy pauses where everyone's like, is that go or not? You know. So I think rehearsing is really helpful, and I do that by literally being at home. I'll get my script and I will try and just go over and over it. You can have cue cards, you can quite often have a script there, you don't always have to know it off by heart, but the more familiar you are with the words, I think the better, because you can then read it sounding nice and natural and thinking about what you're saying rather than just thinking about the words. So I just read it lots and lots of times out loud. Sometimes recording yourself can be really helpful, and just watching it back. Try not to be too overcritical, which I think we all have a habit of being a bit harsh on ourselves, so try and be kind. But I think sometimes by watching yourself back, you notice what you're doing, you notice if you're doing a particular mannerism a lot that might be a bit annoying for an audience, or shifting around and doing things that might be making you look nervous. Because I think, let's face it, we all get a bit nervous when we're presenting, we're in front of people, but most of it is about feeling nervous but doing it anyway, and it's trying to pretend that you're confident even if you're not feeling it. It's like a swan. On the top you're trying to be all serene and in control, but underneath it's all like ah! So I think it's about giving this impression that you're confident, and that's what we all have to do. You just take a big deep breath in, breathing. So I always think, take a deep breath in, and when you've taken a deep breath in, take in a little bit more before you breathe out, and do that a few times, and that just sort of centers you and gets rid of some of those nerves that can come and get the better of us sometimes. And ultimately, remember that it's fun. You're sharing music, you're sharing this beautiful, powerful thing with people. Everyone is on your side. Nobody wants it to go badly, everyone wants it to go well. Probably all the musicians are feeling equally nervous. They've got a big job to do, they don't want to make mistakes, they've been practicing so hard and they're just going to try their best. So it's all about us all supporting each other and all making ourselves feel like we're all in this together and we're all here to have a good time. So don't take it too seriously.
Fantastic. We've got another question about favourite instruments. This is a little bit of a classic question. Oh, Simmy, what's your favourite instrument?
I can't say the violin, can I? So I am partial to a bit of jazz piano. Do love a bit of that.
Do you play yourself?
No, I mean I play the piano to write, but no, I leave that to the real guys. But
how do you write your music, out of interest?
A lot of it is me going and improvising ideas and capturing moments, and then that becomes something. And then I'll take time to sit at the piano if I need to make it into something and score it. So yeah, it often starts with like a moment that captured. I've got all sorts of like voice notes on my phone, you know, if I'm practicing. Often when I'm meant to be practicing something else, I end up playing something else and coming up with a nice idea. I'm like, oh, I wish I could be writing now, not practicing. Yeah. Just,
what advice, Simmy, would you give to somebody that might think they might want to compose or write some music? What, because I imagine many NCO children haven't written anything yet. And what would be your advice to just get started?
To just give it a go, you know, to just like, it's really nice to use the instrument that you play, to explore it differently, to find out what your voice is on that instrument. Or, you know, if you are inspired by something, and just to write something about it or see what comes out about it, or a song or a story, or yeah, I think it's about expressing what you're feeling. So any ways that you like to do it. Singing, sometimes it's nice to do it on an instrument that isn't your own because you don't have the same hang-ups. So I love to sing, I love to sit at a piano and just mess about. But for me, it kind of came from wanting to use, you know, I'd been practicing the violin my whole life and realized I couldn't express myself with that instrument. I was like, this is crazy. It's like, you know, I speak English, but I only speak Shakespeare all the time. So I decided I wanted to speak for myself. So that's kind of where it came from. And it's very freeing. And yeah, I think it's worth giving a go. But even just like trying to play around for like a minute when you start practicing, just to like free yourself up, is a really nice way to do it.
For those young people who will be coming on our residentials over Easter, they do some work called Surround Sound, which is creative music making in small groups. So they'll have exactly those opportunities. And you're going to come and work with us a little bit, aren't you, Simmy? Tell us a little bit about what you're looking forward to and what you're going to be doing with NCO this Easter and summer.
Well, yeah, I can't wait to be back in that environment. I always find it so buzzy. And I think Delia's going to be there too. And I love Delia a lot and she's very fun. So I know you're all going to have a fab time with her. But yeah, we'll be probably singing some songs and playing some games and maybe doing some of these season workshops, but making it fun and interactive and yeah, just connecting through play and song, which is the best way to do things.
So what's the most unusual place you've ever played your violin in, Simmy?
Kind of lots of outdoor spaces now. I did a gig, I do these gigs a couple of times called Singing with Nightingales, where you go down to some woods in Sussex and you wait till the night comes and everyone on the wall nightingales are and improvise with the nightingale. So it's kind of unusual but amazing as well. So that's been
I
pretty
think
cool.
you might need to go and film that, Naomi. I think that's your
Yeah,
next
keep
series.
that sounds really good.
Yeah, it's epic.
Oh, look, another poll
Oh.
for Simmy's hobbies
Ooh.
this time. Simmy likes dancing, wild swimming, singing, hiking, and playing hockey. Which of those does she like? Get your votes in, and we'll see. We've got, yeah, it's bubbling along, nearly there. Lots of people have voted.
Kind of like most of them.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'm like, I don't even know if I choose.
There's a winner, but you're allowed to like all of them. I'll share with a drum roll that the winner is, in fact, hiking.
Ah,
I do love to hike. Yes, it's true.
is that true?
Yes, yeah, I do love to hike. I like to sing when I'm hiking as well, which is nice. And if a swimming spot becomes available, I will always take it.
But dancing,
No,
not so much.
dancing though. I definitely love to dance. Yeah.
And 3 people thought hockey.
I know. I mean, it's funny because I did used to play hockey in school, but I wasn't very good.
Yeah, same.
Oh well, it's good. It's good. It's good to have. What do you think? It's good to have hobbies. You know, Naomi, tell me what do you do anything different from your work to sort of relax as a hobby?
I love dancing. Dancing is my thing. So I teach Zumba. I'm a fitness instructor as well in my spare time. So I do a lot of Zumba and something called Spirit, which is a kind of Pilates yoga fusion. So yeah, and tap dancing has always been a favourite. So yeah, dancing's my favourite thing. And piano as well.
Were you in youth orchestras when you were young, Naomi? Did you play in orchestras?
Yeah, with the French horn and brass groups and things. And I used to play the recorder in. We got quite good in our recorder group. We were quite good back in the day. And my mum's got a recorder group in her village now. So when I go down to visit, I take my recorder and have a go. I remember all the fingering. It's a bit like, yeah. But,
Were you in lots of youth orchestras, Simmy, growing up?
Local ones. I actually never ended up at NCO. I don't really know why, but I did my local 3 counties, and then I went to Cheetham School of Music, so we had orchestra every holiday then.
So how old were you when you went to Cheetham's?
16.
16. Okay.
Yeah.
And what was that like then, going from a sort of regular school into a music school?
Kind of amazing, because all of a sudden everyone was like you know, you weren't the kind of. I wasn't never the odd one out. My school in Wales were really good and let me, you know, do my music all the time, and were very supportive of it, which was so lovely. But, you know, when you're the only person doing it, and then suddenly you go and you're around loads of other people also doing it, it was epic. I had a really good time. I loved it.
I was looking forward to this for exactly that reason, just being with like-minded people, knowing people who love music, my kind of people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people have that experience a little bit at NCO as well, that they come and you meet all sorts of people that are similar to you, which is a very, very lovely thing. Oh, another poll. Naomi has been bitten on her wildlife travels. She's been bitten by a raccoon, a snake, a koala, a lion, or an armadillo.
There's one you can probably guess. I haven't been bitten by it.
Oh, although yeah.
Given that you're still with us. Yes, probably. But yeah, everyone's voting. And well, it's almost neck and neck actually. Last chance to vote, drum roll, and I will share the results.
I've been bitten by lots of mosquitoes,
Oh yeah, they're no fun, are they, mosquitoes? They must have a point in nature, but it's hard to really.
You know, I'm not even sure. I'm sure I listened to a podcast once that was like, is there? They weren't quite sure, but there must be.
Provide food for a lot of creatures, don't they? But
Yeah.
Okay, so the result is they think a snake. Well, what's the right answer, Naomi?
Not a snake.
Oh.
Both a raccoon and a koala.
Really? Both
Yeah,
of those?
thankfully neither not very badly, but a little nip from both on my Nightmares of Nature travels.
Really?
Yeah.
Were they cross with you? Why did they nip you?
I think the koala, so I was told with the koala, you're supposed to sort of stay still while you're holding it because then it will think you're the tree. And I think maybe as I was presenting, I was just moving a little bit more than I should have been. And it felt like its tree was swaying and not quite as steady as it would have liked. So it just gave me a little, just be still.
Was that a wild koala that you can actually hold?
Well, you go to sanctuaries and,
Oh, yeah.
kind of thing.
And a raccoon bit you?
And a raccoon, that was again in an animal kind of welfare, like where orphaned animals are looked after and then put back into the wild. But that was actually a blind raccoon, so it couldn't see and obviously was not used to me. So again, it was just not.
You don't blame him then, or her?
I don't blame it at all. And I just gave it a healthy distance after that.
Did doing that show help you like find some of those creatures less scary once you'd spent some time with them?
Yes, I completely overcame phobia of sharks and of spiders.
Wow.
I know both, and I was absolutely petrified of both before I did these programs. And what I learned is with all of this about loving wildlife, about caring for our planet, it's all about loving it and caring for it and understanding it. And there was this Senegalese forestry engineer called Baba Dioum, and I heard once his big quote, which it's just stuck with me, and it was like, in the end, you will, no, I wrote it down so I'll make sure I remember. In the end, we will conserve only what we love love only what we understand, and we will understand only what we're taught. And I think that's so true. And I think if you don't understand something, you don't care about it. And if you don't care about it, you're not going to try and look after it. And that's what we need for the planet. We need the animals and the trees and all the nature that we said can't speak for itself. We need to understand its role, what it's doing, how important it is in making the whole planet work so well. Because if you don't love something, you're not going to look after it. So if you think about someone you really love and what you would do to look after and support that person, we need to sort of feel the same towards the creatures. And so I feel like that about sharks and spiders and all sorts of creatures now from making this program, which I didn't really understand before and was just fearful of. So I replaced fear with fascination, they say.
That's so nice. Yeah, I think I had that with spiders and bees. I used to be so scared of spiders and bees, but then once you realize that they're just going about their business and the bees are just out to look for their pollen and they're actually really cute,
Really important.
really important, exactly. So when you see them, you're like, yes, go bees, get your pollen. And yeah.
Wow, that's very inspiring. If just thinking about audiences, so obviously, Naomi, you're speaking to big TV audiences, and Simmy, you're performing for audiences. How do you think? How important are they? Do you think of them as an entity, audiences, or people who you're getting your message across to, or how do you think about that process of communication? Simmy, do you want to go first?
I guess it changes really, because I guess I used to try and think about who I was performing for, doing stuff with, but then I think I've got to the point that I just have to be myself, and as long as you're authentic, then maybe not everyone's going to like what you do, but you also can't change that, and all you can do is be you. And I know that when I watch other people, the thing that touches me is when I think someone's really being themselves and being true to what they believe. And so I kind of go with that really, because yeah, I feel like in a world where lots of our politicians and leaders don't really speak the truth, I think it's just really important to go and be yourself, and it's okay to do that. And I think people really do respond to that. And I like to just try and make my audience feel comfortable. So no matter who it is, I try to get a bit friendly and informal, because I feel like it just puts them at ease, and it puts me at ease. So that's my natural way of doing things, and I know it's not everyone's, but it definitely is. Yeah, it's just what comes to me.
What about you, Naomi? Do you think about the audiences?
Done that so well, Simmy. I think my first boss, a brilliant guy called Nick Wilson, who used to make children's programs from the 70s at Play School. Some older viewers might remember from years ago. But he always advised us when we started Milkshake, it's like, imagine you're just talking to one child, just picture one child in front of the telly and you're just talking to them. And I think sometimes by just picturing one person and getting your message over to one person through a screen, it's only one person at a time who's watching, but it feels less intimidating to present it. And then it's that nice, personal, authentic, genuine, honest connection too.
Brilliant.
Don't try to be something you're not, because you're great as you are.
Oh, our final poll. Simmy's 9-year-old adventurous self would like to have been called Symbiotica, Simply Sim, Glamorous Sim, Simplicity, or Simpatico.
Good.
There's some ideas for
I know, yeah.
for your new album.
I know.
Yeah. Yep.
I've got a question about one of them, but I'm not going to ask it now because it'll give away which one is not.
Okay, final chance to vote. Nearly all of you have done it. A couple more coming in. There is a winner. Let me share the results of the poll. And the winner is Simply Sim.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It's actually Symbiotica. But what's simpatico? What would that be?
Isn't it Italian? It's an Italian word which means just like cool, I think. Just like,
Well, I'm glad 25% of you think I'm cool. No, it's actually symbiotica, and it's a kind of mixture of symbiosis, which is obviously like the interrelationship between things and that kind of interconnectedness, but then also Boudica, who was the like amazing warrior queen from Norfolk. So it was like a play of those two.
amazing. Great. Fantastic. Well, look, we're nearly out of time, and I can never believe how quickly these things go, but it's been an amazing conversation. We're going to do the webinar selfie in a minute, so if anybody wants to get a phone ready to take a picture of us with us, that would be fantastic, and you can send it into NCO and they'll put it on the gallery on the website. But before we do that, we always end with advice for your 12-year-old self. What would you wish you had known, Naomi, when you were 12?
How quickly time goes. I wish, I actually saw this on a post yesterday, I think, someone talking about enjoy being young, because actually being grown up isn't all it's cracked up to be. There's so many responsibilities that come with it. It might seem really great to have all the freedom of being an adult, but actually there's quite a lot of stress that comes with that. So enjoy being young, enjoy it. It doesn't last as long as it might feel. It's brilliant being young. So just try and enjoy that period of time. Don't try and be too grown up too soon. It doesn't matter. There's plenty of time for that.
Actually, there's so many qualities about childhood that adults can learn from, aren't there? Or that you would want to take into your adulthood, like playfulness, like joy, like experimentation, like all those things. And just don't lose those.
Don't lose those.
Yeah. What about you, Simmy? What advice would you like to know when you were 12?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with Naomi. Embrace it, try things out and enjoy the time that you have, and try to not let stress take you over, and just to follow your heart, to like, it's very easy, I think, to just get influenced by things, and that's part of life and how it is to grow up, but also just like, keep true to what feels like it's important to you and kind of follow that.
I think one thing that's difficult for children NCO age is not yet knowing necessarily what they think or feel or believe, because there's so many influences, aren't there, coming at you all the time, and there's influences of teachers and school and parents, and how do you find your identity? They're at that stage that you're finding who you are and you're working it out, and just maybe to just seize those little things that this one little thing is really important to me, or actually the environment is really important to me, and what's important about it is the rivers, or is the water, or is the air, or is the, it's just finding those little things, isn't it?
Yeah, And I think taking time to not be too, like having time when you're connected to the big world, but also then time when you're just in your day-to-day life and with the people you're around and having that real connection and space to feel into who you are.
And if you're all brilliant musicians, create music and spread your messages, things that you're passionate about, write songs about them and spread it with us all, because you're the people we want to hear from.
Fantastic. Oh, that's a lovely way to finish. Okay, let's lean in and do our webinar selfie. So get your cameras ready and I'll just count us down.
What Symbiotica would do.
Yeah.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, here we go. Great, fantastic. That'll be fun on the socials. Thank you guys so much, Simmy. We're really looking forward to seeing you. And Naomi, I really hope we get to work with you in some other way at NCO. That would be really fantastic. You've both been incredible guests and inspirations, and just looking at what you do and how you've taken music and your passions to define who you are and to celebrate how you can make a difference, I think is really important, and to feel that you're impacting on the world is a really powerful kind of thing to feel, isn't it? So you are great examples of that. So thank you so much for being part of our webinar today and part of the NCO Joy, and look forward to seeing you all very soon.
Thank you, Kat. Nice to see you.